Yeah, I think certainly like the first few opening minutes they were better than, and then I think Real Madrid kind of snapped out of it a little bit. Although even that is a little bit of an overreaction because I don't think Real Madrid really truly snapped out of it, and I do think there was fatigue there. And with Modric, I agree with you guys. I will say about Modric, like Om did allude to, that even when he's like playing on his last legs, if he has no legs left, he's still putting in so much effort and he's trying so hard to win the ball back. His interceptions, his pass, reading of the passing lanes, um, step up interventions, just so aware defensively. But I think part of the problem was also, as Om said, the press. Like we always say, this is a complaint we've had about Real Madrid for a few years now, where if you're not going to really press, don't press at all because you're leaving yourself really vulnerable. And it's funny, I noted that exact same play in the ninth minute, I think it was, where it's kind of confusing because you have three players pressing, and then you see the Real Madrid's right flank and Betis' left flank wide open for a switch where they can easily escape. And you're like, wait a second, where's Rodrigo? Why aren't they pressing together? And Rodrigo's playing like as a defensive midfielder. I'm not sure what happened in that sequence, but there were a lot of weird, wonky defensive sequences like that. And I do think if this was maybe a better team or a better version of Betis than we saw today, they would have and should have punished us a little bit more. I mean, Pellegrini, I thought, said some things after the game that were bang on. He was talking about like the four previous draws, and actually those, if you look at those four draws, they came against. We're part of the four draws. Before that, they had Athletic and Atletico and Valencia. Forget Valencia, but Athletic and Atletico are not easy opponents, obviously, and Valencia on their day can do damage to you. But Pellegrini was saying like we showed basically that we can go to toe to toe with anybody, but we also haven't been efficient either. And that's kind of been the story of Betis, is like they can go on their day, they can go into like this back and forth melee against big teams just because of the nature they play, but they can also have a pretty low ceiling. Today he also said that I'll just read it just so I don't get it wrong. We had some clear chances against the Real Madrid team that, with all its offensive potential, did not give us clear chances. We did have a good first half where the first 15 to 20 minutes we fought very well, tried to hurt them. The rest of the first half we played very inconsequential. In the second half, we kept our defensive work and added 3 to 4 clear chances. I'm left with the feeling that they did little harm to us. And I think like that's a pretty basic yet accurate summary of the game, where Real Madrid had 11 more shots than Betis. It was 17-6, yet the XG was neck and neck. Real Madrid had a high volume of chances, and Betis had 2 chances. The 3-4 chances I'm not sure about, but 2 really clear-cut chances. One was the Borja Iglesias chance in the 64th minute that Courtois saved. Thank you to Courtois, by the way. Another great game from him. And the other one was the Guido shot that was saved. I suppose the other one he probably referring to is the Diego Lainez one, where, again, I don't know what the heck Real Madrid were doing in transition on defense, but Lainez basically, I think, receives the ball from a throw from the goalkeeper, Claudio Bravo, brings it up the field, and Real Madrid just lucky that the shot was terrible. So I do think, like, I don't think either team was really up for it offensively. Some things kind of happened in the second half, which we'll get to, but I think the first half was we needed more from our wingers, and we definitely missed Toni Kroos, and we needed more line breaking. It was kind of the way I took away from the first half. Also, what was your opinion on Isco, guys? Because I was surprised to see that he had the most touches on the field. I think by the end of it, I guess because he was taken off, he had the second most touches on the field, 77. And he was taken off in the 67th minute, so he still had the second most touches. Varane was the one who had more. I was a little bit surprised by that because I don't have many notes on Isco. I wonder if it was a quiet involvement. Do you guys have any insight on that?
I thought Isco was good, good on the ball. Defensively, like I said earlier, that's where I had issues in that ninth minute sequence that you both talked about. It happened a couple times where Isco would step out to the center back, but he would leave Guido wide open, and so he'd pull off Guido and just step out to the center back, and nobody else would the rest of the team was still lingering behind. Nobody else. There was no cohesion to the press. They weren't hunting together, and so it looked like a total flaw by Isco. And if Zidane, if he was instructing him to do that, like it was totally disjointed, and it was just a bizarre, awful press from us. But on the ball, and Owen pointed to Isco's pass completion. On the ball, I thought he was pretty good, and he had in the 30th minute, if you remember, that good interplay between Isco, Carvajal, and Asensio, where Isco ended up with the ball in the box, and they get a lofted cross off. And then that ball over the top from Isco to Benzema in the 38th minute, that was just offsides. So I mean, I thought on the ball he was fine, and I'm comfortable with him in that role and picking up. Like, you always know that Isco with his man on his back doesn't mean anything. Like, he can handle the ball, give him the ball, he'll turn his man. He's got the touch and the technical quality to pull through that, but defensively is where I had issues, and like he just wasn't covering the right spaces when the ball was on the weak side, and like that's where you notice he's not a pure center mid.
Yeah, the pressing was super. It just looked like Isco and Modric were like confused about who was supposed to be the person stepping up and initiating the pressing. The whole thing just tells me is that we weren't in it. We weren't prepared to really do it at a proper level going into it. When you have just complete breakdowns like that, unclear assignments, inconsistent positioning. You have two people like alternating triggering stuff without like without evidence of like clear communication and rotations. Like you just know what type of game it's going to be in that regard. I agree with Matt in terms of Isco's on-ball performance. I think it was fine. I think relative to his other teammates, he was one of the better on-ball performers. He was trying stuff. Like on ball, it looked like he was trying stuff. It wasn't really coming off like consistently. He had those moments that Matt talked about, but in this type of game where like it's just all not great from everyone, and Isco doesn't really have a guy to like keep playing off in a reliable manner, he's not going to come out looking like a world beater. I thought he was one of the players trying to do more positive things more often than other players, and a little more successfully than others. And so grading on a curve, I guess, all in a relative sense, I thought he was fine and probably the best ball player in our midfield of the game.